Afternoon, mate.
Hey, how you doing today, Tim?
Yeah, good man, good. How are you?
Oh, doing swell, doing swell. Life's going well. Cafe's doing great.
Perfect. The hair's getting longer.
Yeah, you noticed. I uh I just got married yesterday, and
Oh, no way. Congrats, man.
thanks. And um I had quite a lot of people who I guess hadn't seen me in a while. Uh,
Hmm.
comment on it. Which is just funny, it's like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot I haven't seen you in a little bit, so I just look different.
It's good luck on you. It's a good look on you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Well, how are you doing today? How's life with you? Everything going well?
Yeah, same old. Nothing much has changed in Bristol, except the weather's been actually sunny in the UK for once, which is a rarity. But yeah, it's been nice.
Has it been sunny for like a while or like
Yeah, I read something recently. Um, that says that we've had more sun this spring than we had all of summer last year. I mean, last summer was particularly bleak.
okay.
Um, but this couple of last month or so has been absolutely scorching. Well, by scorching I mean like 22 degrees. But sorry, I don't know what that is in freedom units,
Oh
but
my goodness. I don't even know
uh,
either. You just call them freedom units?
yeah,
What does
that's what
that?
they are, right? You know, Fahrenheit, inches, pounds, all of that.
Is that what you call American things? Freedom,
Yeah,
what?
it's just freedom. Yeah, freedom stuff. Yeah.
What's this? You're pretty funny, Tim. I forgot.
Thanks,
I
man.
forgot how funny you are. I'm dying. Well, obviously, so ridiculous. Freedom unit. Sorry, that's pretty funny.
I'll give you a minute.
Well, obviously, we had you guys last year for our subscription,
Hmm.
and it was so good that we were like, we got to bring you back, and we did. And
Hmm.
the coffees did not disappoint, which
Oh,
is
great.
which is a delight.
What what did we send over to? I genuinely cannot remember what we sent over to you this
You're
time.
good. I've got everything written down if you don't
Oh,
want.
beautiful. Perfect.
You're good. For, for the approachable, for the two approachable coffees, we got the Rwanda Shire, which was the anoxic natural, if I'm
Hell
correct.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we got, yeah, the El Phoenix, Gesha and Wush Wush.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. And that Peru Marshall, from,
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah.
Faustina Flores. Yeah.
Yes, Stina
Yeah.
Flores. Yes. All fantastic. Also, that camionetta decaf that we got, delightful.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it?
So good. So, real quick, just talking about decaf in the UK, like what's the like decaf world like for roasters? Is it like big? Is it not big? And I
It's
ask,
getting
yeah,
it's getting bigger. There are a couple of people who are doing a few like little like decaf subscriptions
okay, yeah,
um and just sort of like trying to focus on higher quality decaf basically. I think a lot of people are interested in it. It's something that I've been trying to dial down the amount of caffeine that I consume every day. So it's definitely something that I've been interested in. Um, and there have just been loads of great decafs coming out recently. In this last year, we had it was a thermal shock. It was like a washed thermal shock from Yeni Esperanza, roasted by Ineffable in Seville, Spain.
okay.
And it tasted like rose water and pistachios.
Oh,
It was so good. Um,
delicious.
but yeah, we've been getting in the Camionetta decaf for a while now. It's just super tasty. It's like a little fruity, but like nice and rich and
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, uh, you know, as far as I can tell, the American decaf scene is very slowly evolving to more fun decafs, but
Mhm.
kind of every roaster we work with, at least in the US, kind of like has the same decaf.
Mm.
Which isn't particularly bad. It's from Forest, from Elverhell, which, Shady and Elias do a great job, all the above. And so I just like see that everywhere. And quite honestly, anytime I see just like a different decaf is just like really exciting. And yours
Mhm.
is one of the better ones that we've had. Um,
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
well, yeah, it was so enjoyable. I mean, like you said, it was like a little fruity, but it was still rich, you know?
Mhm.
Like I wrote down like pear, like you get that milk chocolate, but like some brown sugar sweetness, and then some pomelo, and it was just like just really enjoyable and just rounded and
Yeah,
absolutely delightful. Yeah. A-
yeah.
Anyway, um, yeah, so just to go back to those two approachable comp. Well, actually, we could talk about. Actually, let's talk about this decaf.
Keep talking about the decaf.
How'd you how'd you come across Camionetta? And yeah, because it is delicious. We're talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a raw material coffee, the Green Importer. Um, our shop was opened in 2013. Our cafe was opened in 2013 by a guy named Matt North.
Yeah.
Um, he's been quite a big figure in coffee for quite a long time. We were one of the first specialty coffees in the southwest of England to open, just behind Colonna and Smalls, which I'm sure you've heard of, in Bath. They were the first in the southwest to open. Um, and he only ever wanted to have the cafe for 7 years. That was his deal. But then it got to 2020 and he was going to sell it and close it. And everyone was like, don't you fucking dare. We'll come and burn your house down if you shut the shop. So he's eventually sold it on to members of staff who now own it. But he is logistics, QC, all-round coffee guru at a coffee importer called Raw Material, who we still have a very good relationship with. And he just sends us tasty stuff. So it's where we got the Shira as well. Shira is also from Raw Material. They work very closely with a few washing stations in that region of Rwanda. Um, but like, yeah, he's just like, this is pretty tasty. And we tried it and we were like, you're right, it is pretty tasty. And we've been buying it ever since, basically. Um, it's not a particularly glamorous story. It's a bit more insider trading, but yeah, it's the reality of it.
I love it. So speaking about tasty coffees, your hearing you say, because I'm pretty, yeah, it was you. It was you. I think I heard it from first. That like certain coffees are just smashable.
Oh, fuck it. Yeah, smashable. Big, big thing from, yeah. I don't want a coffee that I have to, I don't want a coffee that I have to think about too much. Oh, well, no, laptop's going wild. Yeah, give me something that I can smash a couple of cups back to back. That's my dream.
Yeah, it's a couple of our employees every once in a while will say that, and I think of you every time now.
Hell yeah.
So you're on my mind a lot.
That's cute. I don't know if I should be flattered or worried.
Nah, I think
Bit of
it.
both, healthy bit of both. Let's
I
just
think
do
it's
that.
a wonderful way to, to say it. Well, we were again just flattered to have that decaf. It was so good. Also, it was fantastic on espresso too. Just
Mm,
every once in a while we'll randomly have a decaf that's good on like pour over and or
mhm.
espresso, but maybe not quite on both. And
Yeah.
it was just wonderful.
We've really found that both of our so we have two decafs that we keep on. Another through raw material from Villa Maria. It's not quite as fruity. It's probably a little more traditional, and we do add a little bit more development to the roast. But both of them have just been like super solid on both espresso and filter. We've been able to run like the same roast profile. for espresso, or we just have one roast profile for the decaf.
Mhm.
And they've both been cracking in the
Yeah.
it's built around espresso.
Yeah. Let's go. They have been completely agree over here. Just an absolute delight. Going to the other two approachable coffees that we had. The Shaira is fantastic, like you said. I mean, you got it also from raw material slash map.
Hmm.
And I'm starting to
Excellent.
see I'm starting to see Shaira a bit more. Is this kind of like maybe an up and coming like co-op or washing station or yeah.
Yeah, so they still talking about Matt North. I mean, this will we've got to let him go at some point, but uh he's a very knowledgeable man, very, very generous with his time and knowledge. And I sometimes send him messages when I've got questions, and he'll often send me like a couple minute long voice notes back as he's walking about town, just like spewing everything that he's got in his head at me, which is wonderful to have that resource. Um, but we had a few, I think this was last year, we had a few coffees from Shira and a couple of the neighboring washing stations. Um, and I noticed that through a 14 odd kilo espresso run, we maybe hit like five or six spuds, like potato defects. Um,
Yeah.
um, which just seemed crazy low compared to all the other Rwandans that I had. So I asked them about it, and basically this region had some quite bad floods a few years ago, which destroyed a lot of their crops. So these washing stations are northwestern Rwanda. There's a big lake up there, can't remember its name, but they're on the like just on the water's edge, a lot of them, of this massive lake. Um, Actually, one of the washing stations I think is only accessible by boat.
Wow. Hmm.
Um, but yeah, they had a huge amount of their crops destroyed. And they replanted everything, but they were super, super meticulous. They worked with another company called Mahara Trading Company. Um, and they were super meticulous in their replanting and their horticulture and the way that they look after these plants. And they found much lower incidences of um, the bugs that the little bugs that burrow into the cherry and cause potato defect. But they also found that in in the seconds, like he said, it was like 30 or 45 seconds when the parchment is coming out of fermentation tanks or washing stations and it's being laid out to dry. There is a very small color difference in some of the parchments,
Hmm.
and some of those slightly discolored, some of the slightly discolored coffee has potato defect, and there seems to be a higher incidence of potato defect in that discolored coffee. Not all of it, some of it's fine, but they've just been collecting all of that and keeping it aside and putting it aside.
Wonderful.
Um,
Wow.
so they're just a very, very talented, diligent group of producers who are doing some very delicious stuff.
Yeah.
And they have been, yeah, one of my favorite washing stations, one of my favorite origins for a couple of years now. Because
Wow.
everything I've had from them has just been banging, smashable,
Yeah.
all smashable.
All smashable.
There we are. There's my Shayera rant out of the way.
Yeah, we're actually I was just waiting for you to say that. No.
Waiting for a moment to ask me another question, like, fucking hell, got things to do, man.
Well, it's very exciting to hear because, coming from someone who obviously, we're a multi-roaster, so we don't particularly go down to origin, we don't do all these things. It's very exciting to hear these things from people like you who, you guys have more knowledge in on this and which washing stations are doing what and all the above. So yeah, for the most part, you are very correct. Everything from them has been amazing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so good.
Totally delightful. I was almost gonna say smashable, but I was like, you know what? It's such a uh a treasured word that I
Hmm.
like. Like I almost don't want to say it too much, you know?
Trademark it.
You sh
Yeah. FCP smashable.
Oh, next coffee. El Phoenix. Both the Gesha and the Wush Wush. Absolutely delightful. I had never heard of this farm before. Is this a farm you guys have worked
Okay.
with before or not? Or yeah, I was thrilled to have it. Both were amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'm pretty sure El Phoenix is another raw material
Okay.
coffee, actually. We've bought stuff from El Phoenix for a couple of years.
Mm.
Um, I genuinely, I probably should have done some. We had London Coffee Festival last week. It's all been a bit hectic.
Oh
I
yeah.
probably should have written some notes about these coffees. Yeah, El Phoenix from Colombia. Um,
Mm.
we got some coffees from them, made it brown, sent it to you. That's about that's about all I got for you at the moment. But yeah, we've got coffee from El Phoenix a couple of times.
Yeah.
They've always been doing like super tasty stuff.
Yeah.
They've been sort of pushing this like anoxic water pillow technique as well,
Oh,
um, where they've been laying like tarpaulin over the fermentation chambers
okay.
and like pouring fresh, cool water on top of the tarpaulin,
Mm.
which has kept the fermentation chamber like an anoxic environment, but has also um, it also acts as like a I don't know. It allows any heat from the fermentation to then be like drawn out into the water that's sitting on top of the tarpaulin to keep the actual chamber temperatures lower. So I don't know. There are people who probably know more about what low temperature fermentation does. Um, it was yummy.
Yeah,
Whatever they're doing works.
absolutely. I don't think I've heard of that way of fermenting with cool water.
Hmm.
Or not recently, but I think about a year ago or so, we had a coffee that was grown at I think at Los Rodriguez in Bolivia.
Hmm.
Think so. And I think what they did is they put the coffee in bags, or the cherries in bags, and put it in a cool stream.
Oh,
So I've heard
cool.
of that. But this is very interesting. I like the idea of kind of doing something different, and yeah, the cool kind of helping the heat from the fermentation kind of, yeah, I don't know. This is very remarkably interesting. Way to go, Phoenix. No big deal.
Way to go. Yeah.
Also, it was lovely to have a whoosh whoosh. We don't get that coffee very often. Harder to find. Yeah, what do you think of that variety? Have y'all had a lot? I was just genuinely surprised and happy. Yeah.
We've had a couple of Wush Wushes in the past, either from us or from other roasters.
Mhm.
Um, I think it can be absolutely delicious. I think it has a bit more of like I've always found it has like a little more like very like a little more herbal or like a little like spice to it,
Okay.
compared to other varieties or like Geshers. But I mean, we haven't had a huge number of Wush Wushes, so this is very anecdotal. One of the best Wush Wushes I had was actually at London Copper Festival from a roaster called Lucid. Don't know if you've heard of them. You should check them out. Run by a guy called Stephen, who is the sweetest man. Um, but he had a washed Wush Wush that was just so like juicy and sweet
Mm.
and unreal. Yeah, that was a really banging coffee.
Oh,
But yeah, I've enjoyed all the Wush Wushes. I find, when new varieties tend to come out, they're grown in smaller lots by producers who are used to pushing the boat out a little bit more.
yeah.
So that they tend to be pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
I know a smidge about, Whoosh Whoosh, its origins, so to speak. But just on that, yeah, could you just kind of like explain if you know just a little bit, or no, or not? I don't know what your face is saying. Or not. Just kidding.
yeah. Uh, let's have a look. Whoosh whoosh coffee variety. Let's Google it.
I'm,
Um, oh yeah, I thought so. I thought so. Yeah, it's just another Ethiopian heirloom variety, like Gesha, and Pink Bourbon. You know, there are a bunch of them. That's what I thought.
I could tell in your eye.
Yeah, that was right at the top of my head, that one.
Gosh, I'm genuinely dying. Uh, I don't remember what what your guys' tasting notes on the bag was, but when I had it, specifically, actually, I mean both. I think both on pour over and espresso. I'm seeing my tasting notes. I had either milk chocolate or white chocolate,
Hmm.
a bubble gum for both, a pineapple, dark cherries,
Hmm.
and I think that's it, and a strawberry milkshake. Um,
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
yeah,
Oh, is
just
that on? Give me 1 second. These are the two coffees currently in my cupboard. Um, the Anoxic Natural Shira and the Whoosh Whoosh. Um,
yeah,
I can tell you exactly what's on the back label.
yeah. What is?
Yeah, so we've got strawberry, pineapple, white chocolate, and elderflower.
Okay. Boom bada boom.
There we go. Light work. I've done my homework.
You were so prepared for this.
I was, yeah, yeah. This is all planned.
But it was so good. This is what was absolutely delicious. To be honest, I don't remember, really any of the Wish Wishes I've had previously. I know I've had one from Manhattan in the Netherlands. I've had one from a roastery in Hong Kong that was really good, and I
Hmm.
probably had one or two more that I don't remember,
Yeah,
But th
here
this
and there.
is just like, yeah, that all of them are super, super good. I've yet to have one that I've been disappointed by. Um, yeah, I've never heard of, an herbal and or possibly spicy, but you might be right, honestly. I do remember the last one we had from Knockbox in Hong Kong. That one did have some sort of herbaceousness to it that we liked. It may have been elderflower, who's to say, or elderberry, but
Yeah,
yeah, just really good. Yeah, very much so. And then lastly, that Peru. It's hard. I go back and forth between the Peru being my favorite and the Whoosh Whoosh, honestly. It was so good. It was just, oh my gosh, I could cry.
yeah. The Perus this year that we were really lucky and we had Mark from a green importer called Kipu and Jaime from Caldera, which is a Panamanian green importer. And the two of them came to our cafe and we did a cupping. Just like they brought the most disgustingly expensive coffees that they could, like just despicable. There was a Panamanian geisha there that was like 160 pounds a kilo green. Just outrageous price. Um, but we got the Marshall, and we've also, I think we might be running low on it, but we got a geisha from a producer called Roy Baccara,
okay.
which wasn't 160 pounds because we can't afford that. But those two have been like the best coffees that I've had this year.
Wow.
Um, and our last week at London Coffee Festival, we went up to Roslin,
Yeah.
um, who are just an absolute juggernaut of a cafe, and or they've got six cafes, but they're just an absolute juggernaut in London.
Uh-huh.
And they've had the Marshall on there, and I got to brew it in one of their shops,
Oh, no.
which was really fun. Um, but yeah, it's just been such a great coffee.
Wonderful. Yeah, we loved it as well. I very much got, I think hibiscus was one of the tasty notes if I remember.
Hmm.
Mango, brown sugar sweetness, and
Hmm.
like almost juicy apricot. Um,
Yeah, hella juicy.
yeah,
Yeah, so
and yeah, which like apricot, like I don't know how you feel about apricots, but but I think they're pretty
well,
decent.
I'm glad you asked. Actually, I have some very strong feelings about apricots. Yeah, no, I'm joking.
I'm I'm all yours. Tell me all about your
I hate those pricks. They think they're so much better than everyone else.
appetite.
Give me a peach.
Apricots, when they're like really fresh, they are like really good, and like that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Um, very much so. And so that like pour over, and then as an espresso, it was amazing. I thought I got a few different notes, like red grape,
Hmm.
possibly kiwi, um, possibly more more peach like.
Hmm.
It was genuinely absolutely delicious. I'm just very happy to see more Perus these days. And yeah, coming from you from a roastery, you had some people come in and kind of just be like, here's the most expensive Perus, we have.
Yeah.
Um, do
We
you
were
get
so lucky, honestly. The coffee on that table was outrageous, but yeah, we're just really lucky to be able to try those things and have them share it with us. And um, yeah, it was great.
yeah. Do you guys go out looking for these people, or do these people find you who say, let me show you all the good stuff?
I think it's partly like green importers that we've worked with before and have been working with for a while. Um, and sometimes they'll do like tours around the UK. They'll like bring producers over. So we've had like a couple of years ago, we had Sebastian Ramirez come over and he cupped at the shop and brought some of his stuff. Was that when you
Hmm.
got like a white honey geisha and a CM Sidra?
Yes.
Yeah, so those were Sebastian Ramirez, and we cut them when he came to the shop,
Mhm.
which was really cool. And that was with oh, I wasn't there. I missed it unfortunately. Can't remember the importer. Whoops. Um, but they reached out and said we're doing a tour. Would you like to cup at the shop?
Yeah.
Sometimes, just people that we chat to are in town and they're like, "Do you want to come over?" Um, but but we're very open to have people in the shop and
Hmm.
show their wares.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys did great. I still remember those that white honey and that CM seed. I still remember those when I got those from y'all, and I was just like, phew, like wow,
Yeah, they're
those were
yummy.
they were
Yeah,
great.
yeah, they were
So, if I remember correctly, y'all have one cafe, correct? One
one cafe.
cafe,
Um, yeah, been going since 2013, and one roastery.
one roaster.
Um,
Yeah. So I wanted to briefly just kind of just chat for funsies about espresso. You know, what what setup do y'all have? What espresso machines and grinders just to start with?
so we have a La Marzocco Strada EP, which is an absolute blessing. She's an old girl now,
Hmm.
um, but we treat her nicely, and she hasn't bitten us in the arse too bad. A few corroded pipes here and there, but what can you expect? Um, and we are currently running uh, Malkonig E65 run by weights.
Lovely.
Yeah, and we've got a little autocomb and a
Mhm.
puck press,
Yeah.
and we have the IMS nano coated shower screens, and we have Weber Workshop high extraction baskets.
Okay. Wow. This is actually quite interesting. So we have a Strata, I think it's an EE. I might be wrong.
Little buttons.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have the Strata EE. We have the E80 grind by weight.
Nice.
That's for our daily espresso, and then we kind of use all of our featured shots. We just do an EK with Turkish burrs, and,
Cool.
and we also have a auto comb and puck press as well. But tell me about these shower screens that you have. Yeah, I don't think I know too much about them.
So they're made by a company called IMS. Um, they've just been designed to be uh just to slightly improve the water distribution from like a stock Lamazocco um shower screen.
Okay.
Basically, everything that we do, and I'm sure everything that you do is just trying to make sure that the puck and the water, everything is as even as possible going through that bed
Mhm.
of coffee.
Yeah, that's awesome. Does this screen by IMS, is it like, more porous, less porous? Is there anything specific about it, or is it like it's a screen that just does a better job? Yeah.
So there's a screen that does a slight it does a slightly better job of distribution. But instead of the in the stock Lamazocco, the lowest level is mesh.
Hmm.
The IMS just has like these like hexagons all over it with tiny little holes. And
Okay.
the distribution's just like really let's see if I can find a photo of it. Um Coded shower screen. Yeah, so it's got like a mesh on the top side, but the shower screen looks like that.
Interesting. There's our little hexagons with just all around.
Ultimate results. Yeah.
Huh.
And I promise I will stop talking about Matt North.
Ah!
Um,
Ah!
but he's always sort of instilled the idea of marginal gains into the shop.
Yeah.
So if you can find, you know, 10 things to make 5% better,
Mm,
if you can just find that little 5%, 2% here and there, then it adds up very quickly, and all of a sudden you have a very noticeable difference to the quality of your drinks.
hmm hmm yeah, speaking of things to kind of work with to do that,
Mhm.
how is y'all's, like, do you have an RO system? Or, yeah, what is your water like?
Bristol water is dreadful. Um, it's hard and alkaline and all round nasty. For coffee machines, I grew up in the Southwest. I think filtered water tastes awful. I will only drink, well, I won't only drink. I prefer to drink hard water. Um, I want my water to have a bit of bite, have a bit of substance to it. Give me something chalky. Um, that's just a product of what I grew up drinking. I think filtered water tastes weird. Don't ask me why, or how, um, but yeah, tap water, tap water supremacy. Um, we use just best max filters, BWTs.
Lovely. Yeah.
We've got their best taste BWTs. Um, Bristol is a bit of a funny one. We actually have two reservoirs that we get our water from. In central Bristol, they change, and they have different mineral content,
Mhm.
and they will change whether it's been particularly dry for a while or if it rains really heavily, they'll change where central Bristol water comes from.
Yeah.
And we will taste that the day after,
Mhm.
which is a very interesting thought experiment, but an absolute pain in the ass for trying to instill any consistency in your drinks. We've had days where like the water's just come in and it's been so bad that we've just been like, we're only doing milky drinks today. No espressos. Well, we'll pull espressos, but we're going to put a lot of dairy in it to make sure you can't really taste it. Um, but like, that's just one of the things you've got to live with.
Yeah,
Mm.
very much so. Yeah, we don't have an RO system, but St. Louis water, as far as I've been told, is at least better than like most cities in the US. I don't know how true that is, but we have two rivers. We have both the Missouri River, which is the longest river in the U.S., and the Mississippi, which is the biggest in the U.S. They both come to where we are, and they join together where we are. So, I've been told it's partially because of that and partially because of other things, but yeah, we're not working with like the worst water ever, but still not ideal,
Yeah. It always needs a bit of summer.
Exactly, so we just have a somewhat basic filtration system to, make sure it's, at least a little less hard. Um,
Hmm.
we're not big on having bitey water, unlike yourself.
I'm not gonna put it in my coffee. I'm not gonna brew my coffee with it. But if I'm drinking the water, which I know is a bit unheard of in baristas, drinking water, um, uh, it's got to be hard.
I, your adjective chalky is like
Oh yeah,
that sounds that sounds pretty bad. That
mhm.
does not sound good whatsoever.
Yeah, crunchy. Yeah,
Crunchy as
that's what I'm
well.
gonna call it.
Do
Yeah,
you like to chew on your water? Because that's what it's.
hell yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm
It's the only
dying.
way to live, man.
Oh Lord. So
We've got really strong bones in the Southwest.
apparently, um, anyway, back to your equipment. So
Yes, back to espressos. Yeah,
you, so you mentioned you have these lovely screens that help distribute more. And you said you have something from Weber Workshops. What was that again?
we have the high extraction baskets.
Oh, okay. Tell me a little
Um,
bit about that. Yeah.
um, so they are perfect, perfectly straight walled. So you find with a lot of baskets that they sort of like dip in at the bottom. Um, the Weber Workshop baskets are perfectly straight. Um, their holes go all the way to the edge.
Hmm.
That the baskets are made of a slightly of a stronger steel than regular baskets. So um, if you watch the bottom of uh, I'm sure you've watched a Lance Hedrick video here and there. Um, but he's done a whole thing on baskets. And if you watch the bottom during a shot, they bow down a little bit. So these are slightly sturdier. They still bow a little bit, but not nowhere near as much as like regular stock baskets. And there's also just a fuck ton of holes. There's loads of them. Sorry, you're not planning on doing anything with this. You don't need this video monetized or anything. You're not going to be like bleeping me out.
No, I have no I have no intention of I'd like to think the people watching this will get a crack out of you.
Yeah, right.
I think they will, with your chewy water.
The adoring fans.
The... All right, so this is very interesting though. I've actually haven't heard of these baskets specifically. When you made the switch, were you somewhat able to kind of discern a difference, or do you think that may be coupled with these wonderful screens, these other things that you're doing combined, it really just as a whole brought everything together? Yeah, what was it?
Um, so we've had the screens for a long time. We also pull quite fun. We have some quite fun profiles. Or we have a fun profile that we use for our espressos. Um, and we've been doing that for quite a long time. And then we've got the baskets, and like the massive, massive nerds that we are, every morning we TDS our espressos.
Wow.
Um, so that's part of our dial-in routine is we pull shots, we brew all of our coffees, we taste them to make sure they taste all right. Because really,
Okay.
at the end of the day, TDS and extraction can get in the bin. So long as your coffee tastes good, that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Don't really don't really care about the extraction. Um, at the end of the day, if your coffee's tasting really good, that's the only thing that matters. Um, but we just tend to find that our higher extractions taste better.
Okay.
But we got the high extraction baskets, and we noticed they decreased our shot time by about 10 seconds.
Oh.
So we were pulling about 45-second shots.
Mm.
Um, so this is sort of so okay. Our profile has a short pre-infusion, sort of 10 seconds.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that
And
does.
that's sort of at line pressure. So the valve is open, but the pumps aren't on. It's just mains water pressure that's gently pushing the water through.
Hmm.
Um, and then the pumps turn on and peak at about 4.5 bar.
Okay.
And then they slowly trail off. The pressure will slowly drop from there until the end of the shot.
Wow.
So our recipe before the baskets was 15 grams in to about 45 grams out, and we did that in about 45 seconds.
Okay.
And that was giving us extractions of anywhere between 21 and 23%.
Yeah.
Um, and then we got the high extraction baskets, and our shot times went down to about 35 seconds,
Mhm.
just in like what tasted good.
Yeah.
And our extractions bumped by about 1.5%,
Wow.
which was pretty cool. But with that came a bit of unwanted astringency, and um, so we've actually dosed up. We now dose 16 grams in.
Mm.
Our extractions are relatively similar. They sit between sort of 22 and 24%, depending on the coffee and the day, whatever. Um, uh, but yeah, so the coffee's slightly richer, but they're just like the texture that you get out of the baskets are outrageous.
Mm.
Super syrupy, really sweet.
Wow. Oh man,
Um, but
genuine.
like but like a huge difference. They made a massive difference. I was shocked by
Yeah.
how noticeable it was. This wasn't just like a small
Mm.
change. It was huge.
It was huge. Wow. That's that's genuinely that's making me one want to go to your cafe and have a syrupy shot right now. And two,
Mhm.
to also look into these very much so.
Oh, I think it's syrupy compared to the shots that we used to pull. We still pull like 1 to 3s. They're still quite long. They're not little like double ristretto, like little Rizzy bangers that you pulled back in the early 2000s. Not quite that syrupy, but they yeah.
I'm absolutely dying. I so is that 45 grams pulling a shot that long? Is that somewhat common in the UK or just like is that only what you guys do? Because I feel like that's a little longer than most US cafes.
So I think it's becoming more popular. I think running your machines at lower pressures and dosing lower and pulling longer shots is becoming a little more popular. Um, but there are like loads of places that do. The thing is that like the margin for error in shots like that seems to be much smaller.
Mm,
Um,
that's interesting.
Whereas if you're just getting like a well-developed chalky Brazil, and we have a quite well-developed chalky Brazil from a producer called Mio, which is delicious. Um, uh, just plug in them. Go check them out. All the adoring fans of Comic Coffee's YouTube channel. Go and check out Mio. Um, but like that's perfect in like a little 18 to 36 grammer,
Hmm.
absolutely perfect. But yeah, we found that you have to take a little bit more time.
Okay.
Um, and these Weber Workshop baskets, uh, I wouldn't say they necessarily make better. Mm, I think they just highlight the quality of the coffee and the preparation better.
Okay.
So instead of just sort of like averaging things out,
Yeah.
it's like if the coffee's bad and the prep's bad, the shot is going to taste much, much worse.
Mm,
But if the coffee's really good and your puck prep's really good, then the shot will taste much better.
okay.
It's like, yeah, that's kind of how I think about the baskets. So we didn't used to do any puck prep um, before we got the baskets, but then we got the autocomb alongside the Weber workshops,
Yeah.
just because like they really bite you in the arse if you're bad with your puck prep.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting. Yeah, just kind of like going off of the autocomb right now. I've only played with it once or twice at SCA, but so we're opening a new cafe later this year, and it's all the same equipment. The only thing I think that we're changing is instead of having the autocomb, we're getting it's called the Navigator. I don't remember if it's by Malkonig or like
Is it a
Lammers.
little electric one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks sick. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't played with one, but it looks cool.
Yeah, yeah. And when we were at SCA, it did the job just fine. So but that'll be interesting to play with. Just because we haven't never had that before, so that'll be fun. But it's interesting to hear your setup because so right now, we're working with, La Marzocco screens and baskets.
Hmm.
And we're usually our shots are at 18 grams dose, and usually we're pulling out anywhere between 28 and like 40 grams, just depending on the shot. Um,
Hmm.
just kind of interesting. We got about 4 seconds of pre-infusion. And shots usually tend to run between 19 and 22 seconds, on average. But it's interesting to hear what other people are doing in their setups, because just for us to experiment with as well as like we do funny enough. So we've got about 40 subscribers and probably 10, I think I could roughly say. I think about 10 of them all get these bags to pull on espresso. Um yeah, you had people pulling the Peru and the Wush Wush on espresso. Just
Braver than I am.
like
200 grams. 200 grams is not enough. I'd get through 200 grams in a morning at the cafe just to dial it in.
you're sure that's your hypothesis.
Yeah, don't let Johnny see that. Cut that bit. That's where all the profit's going.
That's what we're all. That's literally just.
Yeah, there goes my bonus.
Oh my gosh, that's gone just like that. I'm dying. But but back to you and your setup. For people, uh, I'm so sorry. Obviously, all of our subscribers at home, they have different machines. One's got a decent. One has a or two have a Breville. A couple
Mhm.
have this home espresso machine that I've never heard of. I think one has like either a rocket or something adjacent. To people who are pulling shots at home, being the barista that you are and having worked in the industry and on espresso, do you have any particular like tips and or like suggestions for like people to like maybe have more fun and or experiment with at home?
Um, the biggest piece of advice that I give out at the shop actually is use filtered water. That
Mm,
is always our I mean, I know in the States it's a little different. You guys don't drink tap water the way that we do in the UK in general.
hmm
Um, but like everyone that I talk to in the shop is like, oh, I'm struggling with this coffee a bit. I'm like, are you using tap water? And you're like, putting just chalk through your espresso machine. Firstly, it's terrible for your espresso machine, but also tastes dreadful. Um, but I, in general, I think it's just taste. Like you, to get good at brewing espresso, you
Mm,
have to taste a lot of espressos, and you have to taste a lot of good espressos and a lot of shit espressos.
mm,
Um, and I don't think if you say you have a bag of delicious coffee from El Phoenix or Faustina Flores and you pull a shot that you're not 100% happy with, then um, like that's not a failed shot because you can taste that and you can be like, oh, this is what I don't like about it. On the next shot, I'm going to do this differently. Um, and at the end of the day, if you're making coffee that you enjoy, then who gives a fuck what weird people are doing in cafes with TDS and high extraction baskets and like just make coffee that you enjoy. If you want to put 4 pumps of caramel and condensed milk into your latte, go right ahead. If that makes you happy, that's what you do. I feel very strongly about that. And
would
we
you?
have people who come in and we have some expensive filters on the menu, and they're like, "What if someone asks for milk and sugar in it?" And I'm like, "If you want to take an auction lot from Gesher Village and put milk and sugar in it, I am more than happy to give you the milk and sugar if that is what will make you happy.
Yeah.
So long as you don't make me drink it. Um, it's your coffee. Do what you want with it, man. Like, um, I will die on that hill.
Yeah.
But taste lots of coffees. Go to your local independent cafes and drink lots of espressos and ask them how they're brewing.
Mm, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that's probably the most important thing when it comes to making good espresso is
Hmm.
tasting lots of espressos.
Yeah. Very much so. I actually really appreciate you saying like ha tasting a shot that you don't particularly like and understanding why you don't like that is still like a good that's like I don't know. Like I don't hear that being like a positive thing, so to speak, you know.
Hmm.
So I think that's just like a great way to look at it. And maybe that will help me when I'm dialing in espressos and I'm having a hard time. I can be like, it's
Oh, we've all been there. We've all been there, and it's like 4:30, and you've got to dial in a new espresso, and you're already like 15 shots deep. Everything's slightly blurry, and your hands are shaking, and you're like, I would want to run in traffic. Like, but
just this past weekend, I was off for a few days and I came back. We had to dial in four pour overs in the same day. Only one featured espresso, but also a new decaf and our half calf. And it's
yeah,
just like
yeah. Where's the Gaviscon? Or is it Pepto-Bismol in
it's
the US?
yeah,
Where's the Pepto-Bismol?
it's like I'm absolutely dying. Well,
Yeah, it's. But yeah, like also at home, I guess it's different because we spend so much time in the cafe and we're so particular about our coffee at the cafe. But for me at home, I want something easy. Um, I'm a bit of a I'm a bit of a pig when it comes to the coffee at home. Um, I don't know if you've seen them, but Aroma Boys are the best invention ever. Um,
boys?
they're like little single batch brewers. Right, I'm gonna run into my kitchen again.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in this. Okay.
Oh, hello.
Briefly looking at this, it looks interesting.
They
Whoa.
come they come with a little like gnarly plastic cup, but
Sure.
the filter fits perfectly under there.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I'm obsessed with it. Um, uh, it. it can smell your fear, um, and it can tell when you're trying too hard. If you put filtered water in it and have been very particular about your grind size and you're weighing out all your coffee, it will pump out a mediocre cup of coffee. If you throw in a handful of beans ground at a random grind setting and put tap water in, it will taste brilliant. I don't know what magic goes on in that little thing, but yeah, it's an absolute cool. Like, it's my favorite brewing method at home.
I've never heard of this. Is this?
FCP run the world famous Aroma Boy World Championship every year at Bristol Coffee Festival.
Yes, I remember
Uh,
seeing.
with a very prestigious trophy, which is me out of the front of the shop with a can of golden spray paint, just spraying an aroma boy, which is a lot of fun, to be fair. Um, I don't think anyone's run an aroma boy uh, competition before, which is why we feel confident in saying that it's the world championship. Um, but yeah, they're great. They're absolutely great. They're like so low fuss. You just throw coffee in and coffee comes out. What more do you want?
That's all I want in life.
Yeah, yeah, they're great.
I love to hear it. I genuinely wish I could keep chatting, but I have to run. I have to run. Um
No problem, mate.
I honestly was hoping to get more. Man, this was like so much more than I bargained for. I should I think
It's on my rants about Shire and apricots.
yeah, I didn't see this
They really
coming.
yeah, they really
Especially
slowed chat down.
I think in like a couple months, I'm gonna reach out to you, Tim, and we're gonna do this again.
Great.
And
We've exciting news from Bristol is we've just uh plugged in our new roaster. Um,
mm,
so for the last 4 years, we've been roasting on an S7 from Stronghold,
yeah.
um, which we roast 785 grams of coffee at a time, which is about 660 grams of roasted coffee out, which is nuts. The fact that uh, we haven't all either quit or the roasteries just shut down is a miracle. But we now have an S8, which is 4.5 kilo capacity.
Okay,
So we've 5 times our capacity, which is incredibly exciting. We think the coffee coming out of it tastes better.
amazing.
Um, and hopefully we can charge a bit less for it because we're not putting in so many crazy man hours,
Yeah.
um, which
Yeah.
is super exciting. Um, so we're pretty stoked for that. Um, but yeah, you should try some of it.
I will do.
Sorry, I'm just trying to earn my bonus back after all the
You're
stuff I said about
after
wasting.
what happened earlier. Man, this conversation has been absolutely bonkers. It's been off the chains. Um, I 100 like I'm not even kidding. In like 2 maybe 3 months, I want to do this call again and just talk
Right.
about random stuff.
Yeah.
Do your friends and coworkers tell you that you're funny, or is it's just me?
No, no, they can't spend.
You're
They
great.
can't tolerate me.
It's just me or
They can't tolerate me. Like,
the American just love for random.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
With British people, I'm unbearable. But for you know, I've got a charming British accent, so
You do?
Americans seem to love it. But
Tim,
yeah.
if you were single, I'd have multiple. I'd be hooking you up. Here in
Oh, is that an offer with you? I
what?
thought you've just got married, man. Like,
Oh, I'd be hooking you up with all
oh, not with you. Oh,
the
I'm not. If it, David, if it's not with you, I'm not interested.
You might be the funniest British person I've actually ever met. And I've never met
Okay.
you in person.
This is recorded, right? I'm clipping that. I'm sending. I'm playing that on repeat on my TV. My girlfriend is getting a copy of this because she just thinks I'm a dick.
Oh man, this is one of the best calls I've ever had. It might be the best. I'm
Right.
not gonna lie. Oh man.
Yeah, we
Oh,
should talk about more often. My ego's feeling is doing good out this chat.
it's like, I don't know if that's good or bad either. But
Depends who you ask.
just for sure. I do have to run, but Tim,
No thanks, man.
this has been incredible. You
Yeah,
are
have a nice
very
day.
funny. Tell 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 your staff how lucky they are to have you.
Oh, I will. I will. From David Barwig, you're lucky.
Absolutely.
Work in my presence.
We will chat later.
Brilliant. Yeah. See
Have
you
a
later,
great
mate.
day.
Have a good one. Bye, mate.